This is a reminder. It's to check forms on social media cafe website.
Obviously, we go live, and I've told you to turn everything off. And I have a reminder on Google that's now having a go at me. So everybody who's listening, this is what happens when you go live. Things happen that you can't change. So good afternoon, everybody who's just seen the first 4 part of our very first live recording going out. But hey, happy days for that. I am delighted to welcome to this call Michael. How do I pronounce your surname? Is it Khatkar?
Oh, like a cat in a car.
Love it.
Khatkar.
Cool. Perfect. So many of you know Michael so much more than I do. Michael's just said something about I have hardly known you for that long yet feel like I've known you forever. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but he is absolutely spot on. So yes, it has happened and it is what it is. But hey, happy days. So I'm delighted. This poor man, bless him, I have dragged him out of his comfort zone onto Air Live, and I'm sure there's going to be more adventures along the way. But hey, welcome to the call, Michael.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's lovely to be here. Yes, I'm looking forward to this, I think.
You think? So for those of you who are listening live, we were just having a chat about how we're dressed and what we're doing and how comfortable we feel and who the heck is listening, if anybody. And I can't even see the comments going on, so that's fine. However, I'm wearing a t-shirt. In a million years in the past, I'm an ex-journalist, for those of you who don't know. Would I have been doing a chat with somebody wearing a t-shirt? Not in a million years. When I first entered that sphere, I was 17, and my goodness, my interview with News International was every penny out of my post office account for a suit from Dorothy Perkins. So, Michael, it's very lovely of you to make everybody sort of feel Friday afternoon, and how smart do you look?
It's only the top half, I might add. But yes, I feel most comfortable in a tie. That's probably why.
What's on the tie today? Because you do have some stunning ones.
Yeah, I think it's just one of my... I've got a collection of ties. Most of them are still in storage because I moved from the south to the north. But this is one of the few that I've got. I think it's some kind of Duchamp coloration going on there.
Hey, ties are cool.
But I'm colourblind, don't forget that.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yes, sadly, yes. That would explain a lot, probably.
Hey, ties are really cool. And you had a very lovely floral one when I finally met you a few weeks ago. So you have been in this particular network marketing industry for an awful lot longer than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, we're going through a few crises at the minute with one thing and another, but in the glory days, who were the big players? Who were the big spaces you worked in and people you worked with?
Back in the day, when I knew very little about network marketing, and some people might say I still don't know anything about network marketing, but back in the day, we had, obviously, originally I worked with Oriflame. I had connections throughout Avon. We had workings with Amway as well, but my main network marketing career was really in Kleeneze, other than the small ventures in the other companies. Started in Oriflame, then went over to Kleeneze, and Kleeneze is where I spent most of my time, although along the way there was always work with some of the other companies, and that was partly because throughout those years Kleeneze was one of the major brands in the UK in that space. So many companies in the US would come to us and ask us about the UK and about Ireland and about how the company or companies of this ilk worked in this country. So yeah, we got an opportunity to work with quite a few companies, but mainly in the latter years it was Kleeneze.
So Kleeneze wasn't one that I really knew, although I'm coming across an awful lot of people in my current spaces who absolutely, it was the bee's knees. Now, am I right in thinking it was American owned?
No, it wasn't. It originally started as a brush company, which went back and forward to American ownership, but it was the final version that we all knew was British owned, but then in the latter years it was bought by an American company. So yes, in the latter years, but always a British company, formulated in 1923, and in
Wow.
1915, for one reason or another, it came under American ownership for the last few years.
Gosh, so
Yeah.
a bit like some of the current ones that have, unfortunately, how do we put this politely, perished, I think is a good word. We're not going to go into
No.
those particular spaces, but yes, it's nice to have things that are on our own soil, because I think we have a bit more control, don't we?
I think so. I mean, I think one of the reasons behind it always was with many of the companies that we have been involved with along the way and their American ownerships is because the origins of the industry really had its beginnings in the US. So I guess that's why there was so much American ownership, and there still is. And certainly it was a new thing in this country. So to have a UK based company where you can make UK based decisions and you can do things that are right for your own country, and that's not sounding xenophobic or anything. That's just because it works better, because we work differently. We do almost everything differently. So it's much better to have something that is UK based, UK originated, and then UK run. So and now, having been through the mill through other countries, it just works better. Simply works better.
Absolutely. And we're not knocking other countries. There's been
Yeah,
some fantastic stuff from other spaces, but
yeah,
you know what?
absolutely.
It's just that little bit more special when it's just homegrown, isn't
I
it?
think so. Well, it is. I think ultimately it boils down to control. Having worked under companies that are owned by companies based abroad, there's a different kind of control. So when you're here, you're working from here, you control it from here, it's ultimately a sense of control. And you have a better control of what you do, a better control of the products that you put out there. We can hand on heart say that all the products we manufacture ourselves, and we currently manufacture about 100 products, all of them are manufactured here in plants here, employing people here, so putting everything into the economy here. And that's one of the great things of not only having ownership here, but having manufacturing plants here. It's absolutely fantastic just to be able to walk into the factory that's creating chemicals for you and see it happening and see that it holds people's jobs together. So the knock-on effect of UK ownership is massive. It's absolutely massive.
I love that. And
Mm.
the fact that you found the niches for so many things that people want, and being at the event just a few weeks ago, meeting such amazing people, I have to say, a bit weird walking into a room full of people where I had no clue who 99% of them were, and they all knew who I was, which is a little bit scary, really. You couldn't really hide. But listening to, for example, Arthur's ants and how they mithered you to create a product, I
Yeah.
thought that was just brilliant.
It was just one of the funny stories a few years ago. We have a very prominent person in our business, and every other day he would pester me with emails and phone calls wanting an ant repellent. So he pestered me so much we named it after him. Of course, I put a clause in there that he wasn't going to get royalties, and I stand by that. Especially as we sold so much of it, so we actually named it Arthur's Ants. And the funny part of that was the way we sold it was we were probably the only company that could take somebody pestering you to manufacturing and then name the damn product after the person who was pestering us. And for us, that was just a quirky UK, British, English kind of thing to do. And we just loved it. And I still dine on that. And we've done it a few times. So be careful what you pester me about because we'll just go and manufacture it. Simple as that.
That's funny. So Ants is huge. I know it is.
Yeah.
What's coming in the pipeline then? What else have you been mithered about?
So some of our headline products have been in spaces that we didn't expect them to be headline products. So on the back end of the pandemic, we decided that the big thing was going to be nutrition, because all of us, well, obviously not yourself, but certainly me, we were putting on a lot of weight during the pandemic and people weren't sleeping well. So we thought a probiotic meal replacement shake would be the ideal thing to create. So we put a fair bit of money into creating that. And that was one of our big success stories, not just post pandemic, but up to now. So a meal replacement shake full of vitamins, full of probiotics that was good for your gut, helped you sleep better, and helped you lose weight while tasting good and filling you with nutrition. And that has been one of our big success stories. So in the health line, we carried on and we've created a few products. It wasn't our speciality. We've learned it as we've been going along. When you work with industry professionals, you can find the people that can do the right things for you. So there's a number of health products coming up based on that success we've already had. But chemicals is one thing we've really excelled at. Creating products that solve problems. So the recent success one is Buzz Off, of course, which is a wasp repellent. Nobody likes wasps. Nobody wants them around. And so we created a repellent that can actually cast them away and keep them away, but not actually kill them as much as we want to kill them. They don't kill them. So we've got a number of chemicals coming up, which are going to be, I guess, competing with very well-known brands, but with our own branding on, and some of them made by the same companies that make the big brands. So we've got a number of chemicals and a number of health products. Now, you might be thinking there's a disconnect there. How can you create chemicals that clean whilst you're creating products that are good for your health? You know what? You can, and we do, and we will do. So we've got a number of products this year. I'd say in the region of 25 more products to come this year that are going to be branded by us, manufactured by us, and manufactured here in the UK. And that's just this year.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to lots of stuff. My very, very, very first foray, although somebody did introduce me to Amway when I was, 20 something. Shall we not even go there? And I didn't know what the heck it was all about. I had no clue about this network marketing thing. All I knew was you had these little drives down the motorway because we didn't have internet and we didn't have all of the good stuff that we have now. And there were these things called tapes that you were supposed to listen to and varying books that you were supposed to read. And frankly, I didn't have a clue when they got some board out at the front of the room and started talking about things with people and sticks and circles and whatever. But some 10 years ago-ish, somebody contacted me for help on social media in America. And a brand that they were working with was coming to the UK, and that, of course, was Body by Vi. So I thought, okay, well, let's just have a look. And obviously, content and ideas are similar to your own ones, which I have tested, and yours are at least as good, if not better, in some respects as well, because there's other bits in them. However, the concept stayed with me. And on my birthday, I realised how it worked. And that was the end of a 6-week run for me.
Yeah.
Now, yours is a very different space to that. There's no, how should we put this and not be impolite to our American friends? We're less pushy. Is that polite?
I'd say 100%. The whole idea behind it, and ethos behind it, was not to throw about before and after pictures, not to make people feel uncomfortable. We called the range of Believe in You because the first thing people have to do is believe in themselves. And once they start doing that, without any pressure, without societal pressure, that they can actually get to the point where they want to be, not how somebody else tells them to be. So not only do we push the emphasis of believing in yourself, but we don't have those targets, we don't have those pressures, we don't have a 90-day plan, we don't have a 30-day plan, we don't even have a one-day nutrition plan. We simply say, start believing in the way that you are, and then along the way, take these nutritional products, and if you want to lose weight, they'll help you do that. And I think that's the most encouraging way we could think of doing it, without people feeling embarrassed, or without people having to, in the old space, show before and after pictures, which, as you know, can be doctored anyway. So we just didn't believe in all that. So it was more about having the belief that you can make the changes and become what you want to, rather than follow some plan that somebody else has set, or to follow what society says that you should look like. So that was basically the ethos behind our products, and that will stay with our health range.
Well, I think the health range is great, and we've got so many different choices. But why network marketing? Why did you come and do it yourself? What prompted you to come and take all the pressure and have to come and create the lot?
Well, having spent so many years working with network marketing companies, one of the things that you do learn, without actually pointing fingers at any company, you learn some of the things that you feel aren't done as well as they could be done. And they always people-centric things, not the products, not the compensation plans. Where any company has a flaw is to do with people, the way that they treat people, the way they don't put them center to everything they do, the way they don't create partnerships. So at the demise of Kleeneze, once I'd closed the Kleeneze business down, which of course I had no option to do, but we had to close it for legal reasons. The only other option left for me was, I thought, let's just do what we've always said we wanted to do, and that's create a company that maybe takes all the mistakes we've learned in the past and tries to solve them with a new organization, and that is truly people centric. I've been in many companies that say they're people centric and they put people first, and they allow people to be first, but it doesn't always happen. And sometimes people in many of these companies are seen as commodities rather than partners. So we really emphasize the partnership piece. Look, we can't listen to absolutely everybody, but we try and have everybody on board as much as we possibly can, where not only some of our decisions are made, but some of our direction. Of course, we have an executive board that does the main things in the business, but we truly do have people at the center of our organization. And the only way that was ever going to happen is if we took it on board, and I took it on board with a team of people who believe the same thing and just done it ourselves. The old adage is, if you want something done properly, you do it yourself. And I think that stands, having been so many decades in the industry. I'm not being derogatory to any business, but if any business was ever doing anything not quite so right, it was always around people. Whether it was undercutting people, or whether it was being maybe not executing things that were people centric enough. So we don't always get it right here, but I can guarantee you one thing, that literally everything we do has got people at the forefront, not just the team that work here with me, but every single person in our partnership and network out there. We try and put them first. And we said at the beginning, we didn't want people to be a number. So this is why you don't hear about distributor numbers so much. We wanted people to be known by name. The majority of my team know people by name. They know things about them. They know what they do. They're not just a distributor number. And this was all born of the fact that we've all worked in companies where we wanted things to be different, but we couldn't make them different. So that's in a long-winded answer why finally decided it was time to just do it the way we wanted to do it, and with a bunch of people out there and in here that wanted the same thing. And that's it, simple as that, really.
So there's a rumor that you never sleep, and bearing in mind at varying times of the day and night I've sent messages and they get responded to. How true is that?
No, I don't sleep. Absolutely not. Sleep is very optional. I do try and sleep. There is a reason we've made these offices so comfortable, and they are very comfortable. There's a secret sleeping place here when required. There's a secret sleeping place in the warehouse, and I do have an apartment in a house somewhere or other. And every now and again, I make it. Generally, and I think, sometimes you just have to sleep. Sometimes it's too exciting to sleep and you just don't. So the rumors are partly true. If I could be a vampire, I would be. So,
So, what do you do to relax then? What's
um, the only thing I've ever found that was the most relaxing was to write. If I do need to ever relax, other than, of course, the odd glass of red wine here and there. The one thing that does make me relax or can make me relax is writing. And writing anything from poetry to fiction to non-fiction, and mostly, I mean, I don't publish anything anymore. Mostly write things just for myself, or even if it's just simple anecdotal writing. So that's what I find the most relaxing. But generally, and you know this for a fact, if you're doing something you love enough, you tend to just keep on doing that. And that in its own way becomes something that makes you not only relaxed but excited at the same time. So I don't often need that, but when I do, it's writing, generally writing, and maybe every now and again a glass of red wine. I can't even say that without laughing, but yes.
Hey, I got accused of drinking red wine at 8:30 the other morning because I used my very lovely personalised glass
Yeah.
with Diet Coke in it. Diet Coke at 8:30 in the morning, probably not perfect anywhere. But I had such a lot of messages saying, Amanda, are you okay? Because they genuinely thought I'd hit the bottle at 8:30 in the morning. But hey,
There's an idea.
as somebody pointed out to me, it's 5 o'clock somewhere now. Whether 5 o'clock is still acceptable for hitting the bottle, who knows? But hey,
Absolutely. No, I remember that. I did see that. Yes. But yeah, I
it
do
did
like.
make me smile.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've noticed with the network marketing industry in general, and there's such a diverse range of people in it.
Yeah.
You come across some absolute characters and just some genuinely amazing people, and that is what kind of attracts me, and I'm sure it does you too.
Yeah.
But I've also noticed that quite a lot of them, particularly in America, seem to target the faith-based ones. Is there a faith in the background for Michael by any chance?
No, there isn't. No, I know the companies that you speak of, and they have immense success because I guess along that faith comes a consistency and a willingness to do what you want to do. But no, I don't have, you know, my faith is simply just to believe that, it's more practical, I guess, that our minutes here are so short. Life is remarkably short. And in that short space, if you don't do exactly what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and live the life that makes you smile every single day, and in the hope that you can make a few others smile, then it's a life well lived. So, although I don't have a great faith um, in religious terms, I have a great faith in in humanity and living this life that we're granted with. And I guess that works really well in our industry, of course. Now, our industry is all about making the best of yourself, and creating something, and looking out and seeing the beauty in things, but mostly in yourself. And we learned that very early on in this industry that really, to appreciate life, you kind of have to do the things that express yourself. If this industry can do one thing, it's help you express yourself, whereas the corporate world tends not to be able to do that. So, not necessarily a faith other than in humanity, and simply that our lives are just seconds on the grand scale of things, as sad as it sounds, just mere seconds. And those seconds, pass so remarkably quick that you just have to be able to do something with it. and this industry is perfect for that.
Absolutely. I mean, we are in May already of 2024. Can somebody please tell me where the fairies have stolen all the time? I mean, so I joined you guys February the 15th, I believe, the day after Valentine's Day. And where has that was like yesterday. And yet, you know, so much has happened in such a tiny space of time.
It has. I mean, you know, up till February the 15th, I'd heard about you because when you, with the success that you've had, of course, your name is going to be synonymous with success. I'd heard the name many, many times. So February the 15th, you joined, and that time has passed very quick. And of course, you've had extraordinary success in our business in that very short period of time. So it feels like we've known you for a long, long, long time. In the nicest possible way, but time is flying by. You know, I know the weather hasn't decided it's really summer yet, but we're already in May. And when you think on the practical level of catalog production and things like that, you know, earlier today, we were just going through Christmas 2024, but we've gone way past that. We were looking at campaigns for early autumn next year. And, you know, if you think early autumn next year, we're talking September 25. When you think of it in those terms, and you think of the production of those catalogs and the acquiring of those products, and you know the systems behind those products and the manufacture of them, that time's going to pass really, really fast. And you're right. I don't know where the year has already gone, but before we know it, we will be launching Christmas. I'm telling you now, and we haven't even had summer yet.
So we just mentioned the C word, the catalogue word. You've always been catalogue based because indeed your previous spaces were that. Are they here to stay?
Yes, they are. I mean, you know, funny enough, and I often say this to the people that know me well enough, constantly talk about catalogues. You know, my heritage in this business comes from catalogue production. All of my team are from a catalogue background. And I specifically got these people together because of their, not only were they friends in business before, but their background is catalogue specific. Now, catalogs are here to stay. There's no two ways about that. You know, I've just told you we're already looking at autumn 2025. We've got some great products and catalogs lined up, and we got printing slots already booked in because now, because less and less people are creating catalogs, printing presses are becoming less and less and less. So booking printing slots are getting harder and harder. So as long as there are printing presses out there, we'll keep on printing catalogs. Now, just on that note, that doesn't mean that we're not building the online part of our business, as you and many of your team have quite rightly proven that online selling is exceptional. We have some other people in the business have exceptional online sales. So we're really building that, what we call the VivaMK World Active side of the business. But to answer your question in a nutshell, yes, catalogs are our bread and butter. It's our heritage. And it would be a very sad day, the day that we decide no, they're not going to happen. And that day's not going to come. Not while I'm around, that's for sure. It's not going to come. Catalogs
I love
prominent.
the cat. I do love the catalogues, says she, who's got the personalised one on her desk, because there's a lot of ideas going on with that right now. But the catalogue environment is, it's like a whole community of people. And it actually then starts building a community business. And they're the best, aren't they?
No, absolutely. I think, of course, the whole world is online. The problem, it's not a problem, it's a great way to sell online. It's a phenomenal way. It can sometimes lose its soul because when you're just buying online, there's no human interaction. I think one of the greatest things we learned, not that we needed the lesson, was really through the pandemic again. You know, when people were approaching doorsteps with all the usual sanitization and all the masks and everything, that human interaction was invaluable. You know, there's people that relied on that happening. And I used to think, well, our little catalog company is keeping people's spirits up. That's a broad statement to make, but it was a fact. So where community connection is concerned, you can't really create that online unless you're having them delivered yourself and you sold them online and you're delivering them. That doorstep connection has been magical forever. And it seems to be having another real surge. I was talking to somebody yesterday in our business, and they said, these things come in cycles. The expression they're getting at the doorstep now isn't, bloody hell, are you still doing catalogs? It's more like, wow, I really wanted to see a catalog. And I'm hearing that more and more, and I love that. So whilst all that's going, we continue to build this online presence, but that catalog community is immense. It's heartwarming to know that there's people out there that rely on somebody carrying a catalog to turn up at the doorstep, and I love that, and that's where that magic happens. It's not necessarily our business, it's not necessarily our products, it's that doorstep connection with the customer and the distributor, the partner, that creates a sale. And that's magical. And there's no system that can recreate that. You can't recreate that in any environment except being face to face.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I'm pretty digital, to be fair.
Yeah.
But you can have a hybrid business.
Yeah.
And the biggest pleasure is from the sale with a smile. You
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
made somebody's day with something so random.
No, I agree.
So it's cool. Okay, so skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you're made for this environment, and the many people who have spoken to me in the last few months know who you are and say it with joy. So that is cool. So clearly you're in a space that you love and which loves you. What would you say is your best skill set that makes you right for this space?
Oh, wow. I haven't been interviewed for anything for over 20 years, but that's a great interview question. But I think I've already kind of said it. I think you have got to, if there's one thing you can do, one thing, almost in any area of business, let alone ours, is learn how to connect with people. Now, I'm not saying I've necessarily learned that skill or I even have it, but I'd like to think that that connection with people matters the most. I was in the corporate world for many years, of course, like most of us have been, and you notice the things that aren't good in that world, where people couldn't even remember your name, they couldn't remember detail about you, they didn't know what you did. So I guess I've always strived to learn as much about people as I possibly can. You know, don't forget somebody's name, don't forget what they do. Make people feel wanted, make people feel valued, make people feel important. If that can be put into a skill set, then that's what I've learned through the years. That if you can try and encourage people, try and make them feel valued, try and make them feel important, try and make them feel that they belong to something, then whatever industry you're in, you're going to be a success. It's simple as that. And if that is a skill set, then that's what I've learned across the years. Just
Well,
learn to connect with people.
I think treating people how you'd like to be treated is
Mm,
always a good thing, and making them feel special is
mm,
absolutely. Too many people forget that, and it's really not a good space to be when you feel that you're unnecessary and maybe not wanted or whatever. So
agree.
certainly I felt with everybody that I was welcome, which is a
Mm.
fantastic space to be.
Yeah, no,
Obviously,
absolutely. Yeah.
you're going to get the odd one that comes with the territory, but hey, um such is life. It is what it is. But we're definitely a product based
Yeah,
space, and we've talked about varying products that have come on from
yeah,
you helping people, and the need. So I hate to tell you this, but one of the sites behind us definitely has an ant issue. From about June onwards, you can absolutely see where the issues are when they come in the kitchen and all over the spaces that we don't want to share with creatures with lots of legs. However, what is your favourite product of all time?
Oh, wow. Goodness me. Like I said, I haven't been interviewed for 2 decades, so this is news to me. Other than our personalized products, I mean, I love that range of products, but that doesn't really answer the question. I guess one of my favorite products is Spiderway, and it is a spider repellent. Again, something that fulfilled a requirement, because one of the most hated things on this planet are spiders. And I just love that product because it just puts people at ease knowing that they can use it and it will actually keep spiders away. So that's one of my favorite products. But outside of that, I guess one of my all-time favorite products is the vanilla meal replacement shake. It clearly doesn't look like I've been drinking it, but our vanilla meal replacement shake is probably one of the things I'm the most proudest of. That took a long time for us to create. It's helped a lot of people, not particularly the vanilla one, but that range. I just like the vanilla one. And it is actually a delicious product and it actually works. So one day when I start using it again, I'll show you how well it works. But yeah, that's probably my all-time favorite product other than Spiderway.
So the spider one, I think I need to go and test in one of the
Yes.
bathrooms downstairs here, because there is a creature in there that should not be living behind the cistern, and it gives me the creeps every time I go down there and go in the other one. The shake, you know what? Shakes are not just used for weight loss.
No, that's true.
They're used to stop people like me reaching for the rubbish when we're at our desk all day, every day, and they're just so easy to do.
Yeah.
So there is a bag just over there that I am going to bring the mixer up and get cracking on that, because I don't want to not be able to get into my summer clothes just now when the sunshine decides to come out. But that's cool. So we've looked at best skills, we've looked at products. Now, I know you're an uber positive person and put the positive spin on absolutely everything, but you've got to have a pet hate, which is?
Arrogance. Arrogance in people. The two things I've always disliked is arrogance in people, and I guess the condescension. People who condescending to others. So a condescending attitude and an arrogance. And by arrogance, I don't just mean a natural "I'm better than you," but the boastful kind of arrogance, the kind of arrogance that makes people feel very, very small, very, very little. That's always been a pet hate, you know. And sadly, the world is full of those people. That kind of, whether it's inherent arrogance or it's learned arrogance or it's based on an insecure arrogance, it's a general arrogance, whether it's an arrogance that men have towards women, it's a sexist arrogance or a societal arrogance, whatever it is, that looking down upon somebody or making somebody feel little is a very big personal pet hate. And we all accidentally fall into that trap, and I hope to God that I haven't, certainly in the latter years, but that's a very big pet hate of mine, very big.
Cool. Okay, so we've been on here for nearly 40 minutes. Can you believe
Wow.
that? So I'm going to let you escape shortly. However, VivaMK has been probably a best kept secret. Is that me being polite for further? Bearing in mind it launched just before lockdown, so timing, you had nothing to do with the world suddenly going into something that nobody ever could possibly have predicted. And I looked at it a year ago and parked it, because what I couldn't find were the movers and shakers that were doing stuff, but obviously, given the timing of whatever. Now, I personally believe the opportunities with what you have, there isn't anybody in this country or even in the world that are doing what you're doing in the way you're doing it.
Oh, wow.
And I believe that the quality and the range, and certainly the little quirky things like the personalization thing, they're businesses in themselves. I mean, I was teaching eBay, Wednesday evening, and the numbers of people searching for personalized stuff on there is astonishing.
Wow.
So that on itself is a business that anybody could pick up and run with. And the fact that you give free entry level and, very low entry level for the brochures means that you are wide open for the world and his wife to come in and completely and utterly do amazing things. So where do you think Viva is going to be this time next year?
Well, you've just said, we've started just before the pandemic. Our real version of the business that we have now started on the 31st of August 2019. We had about 24 products then for various reasons. We started, we'd come off the back of a lot of things going wrong. Then, of course, the pandemic happened. So now in early 2024, when you take all that into account, take almost 2 years of pandemic out of the equation, we're still quite a young company. If our performance is anything to go by this year, I'd say that by this time next year, we will have had double-digit growth compared to now. It's very hard to quantify because the environment changes so much. But the things that we're planning, like I've just said to you, we're looking at autumn 2025 at the moment. Just behind the screen, there are samples of products that are coming today, and they're big white bottles, and they just say sample written on them. And if we can get those created, they're just secret samples at the moment. Things like that will put us in a double-digit growth phase, which for one reason or another, being such a young company, we haven't really had, because, like I said, we started just before the pandemic, took out 2 years of recovery from that, which really brought us into 22. We're not that old as a company, but this year we've had some amazing things happen in the business. You just mentioned personalization, and that's the catalog I think you're referring to. And that catalog alone, just to give you some numbers on it, only came out in March, and that catalog has already performed better numbers-wise and units-wise than an entire quarter last year. So when you see things like that doing so well, then you know that you're set for a bigger scope. Now, I mentioned a few weeks ago on the Zoom that next catalog out is our beauty catalog. And again, it will be opening new doors. So we're putting a lot into it. If we keep going the way we're going, then I expect double-digit growth between now and this time next May. And I look forward to celebrating that. But we're doing everything we possibly can to get to that space. And I appreciate what you've said, because I don't often have these kind of conversations. It's very rarely I get asked questions, certainly not live, that's for sure. I felt like I've been in an interview, and and I guess that's why maybe some of my replies have been a bit slower than they normally would be. But double-digit growth is where we're heading. We have quality challenges happening, which is fantastic. I always just say to the team, the more quality challenges we have, the better the business will be. And I'll give you a quality example. If we've got a day when there's over 100 personalized items being sold in half a day, that's a quality challenge. We've got to work some to get those out of the door. And you know how important service is in our business. I want all 100 out of the door. It doesn't mean if some people have to work through the night. We want them out the door. So we're getting more and more quality challenges of that nature, where we have defined newer solutions to keep up with that growth. And so I hope that kind of answers your question. It's really all based on, we've had an incredible start to the year. We've got great plans going forward. You'll see some of them in a matter of weeks. And we're getting more and more quality challenges. And all of those quality challenges are based around growth and progress.
Now, there's a few things that you've said there that many of the networks would kill for growth of any type. A lot of them, we've already mentioned earlier, have already gone. Some have changed plans immeasurably to the detriment of the people who grew them in the first place. Whereas you're pushing forward with lots of new incentives that are helping people to not only put food on the table, but actually do some really funky stuff as well, which is fantastic. The speed in which stuff arrives is amazing. If there have been, I think we had one niggly little issue, it was sorted in record time within a couple of hours, not a couple of weeks. And you're right, as we grow, there will be challenges on that, but what a great place to be.
It's a lovely place to be.
So the final question for you is something that you've got on your header. Now, I did go and mooch for this. I didn't Google you to ask you a million questions that would make you get embarrassed, because that's not a good thing. On your banner on your Facebook page, it said, "I didn't come this far to only come this far." And I found a song. Is that where it came from?
No, you know, that quote, "I didn't come this far to only come this far," was originated. We were on an incentive trip. I don't want to drop countries, but I think it was India in 2015, and we were having a few challenges. And I remember saying to the conference crowd there, I don't know where it had come from that day. I said, you know what, we haven't come this far to only come this far. And from that day on, it stuck. And I remind myself of that every single day, that, you know, we've come a long way. All of us have. You have, I have, all of us. We've come a long way, but this can't be it. We didn't do all of that just to say that's it now. We did all of that because we're going to do all of that. And that's where it came from. It just arrived when we were abroad one day, when we were in the middle of a few problems. And to address the problems, I said to the people, you know, we haven't come this far to only come this far. We've got to do everything we possibly can to keep on going. Otherwise, all of that we've done is going to be a waste. So let's use all that to go that way. And I think that's where it came from. And
it's amazing. I am going to share the song underneath this when it all goes out live, because you will love it. And if you haven't heard it, you'll definitely love the ethos behind it, because it's everything you've said and more. Thank you so much for your time, for allowing me to embarrass you and drag you out of your comfort zone. Hopefully it hasn't been too hard for you.
No, not at all. I've loved it. Like I said, you know, I can't remember the last time I've ever been, you know, openly asked questions, especially because I didn't know what the questions were going to be. And I'm generally a naturally shy person anyway. So yes, but thank you for that. It's probably helped me know when to come out of that comfort zone.
Hey, it was just a chat. Anybody who's been listening in, and I know there's quite a few of you, because I inadvertently shared the link for you to come into the studio as well. So the 10 of you who managed it, well done. Anybody who's been listening live out there as well, or on the replay, thank you so much. Any questions, please get in touch. You will see a little telephone number just on the screen at the bottom. Any questions, happy to help you. And thank you to everybody for your time.
Thank you, Amanda.